You're watching Fighting Back, news talk, current events, and political commentary with host Ron Ludders. Now back to the show.
Well, welcome back. We're glad you're here and sticking around. Boy, we've got just more things going on tonight. It's too bad we're an hour show instead of on Monday. At any rate, we have Representative Anthony Kern here. Welcome to the show, Anthony.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And what we're excited about is, man, it's not everybody that gets a shout out from the president. The president. I should not the Pino, the president in name only.
Not the pretendency.
Well, you know, I wasn't expecting it, but I thank God he did it, and it really has given us some momentum in our Arizona State Senate campaign.
What we're talking about is that Saturday at the rally, Anthony Kern was there, and President Trump gave him a shout out and said, "There's Anthony Kern, one of the best," and he's running. You're going to be happy about this for those of you that don't know. He's running in District 20 for the senator, and you're running against whom?
PB.
He
Peanut butter and jelly?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Paul Boyer. He's the, do you dare call him a rhino? I don't even know that he's a rhino.
He's probably worse than that.
Yeah.
He's a high school teacher.
Yeah.
He's a high school teacher.
And he turned
Nothing against
tail
high school
and left
teachers.
the Republican Party, abandoned them when they were about to get to the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. The same Board of Supervisors that has Chairman Sellers, who happened to have taken a trip to China.
Yes.
Compliments of the Chinese Confucius organization and paid for by the CCP.
Yeah.
That's right.
So he's also, this PB also has wreaked havoc, not just the one time, but numerous times. He'll promise one thing. He'll tell all of the people in his party, yes, I'm with you, I'm with you, I'm with you until the vote. And then he yanks it at the last minute. And we have such a slim margin that you can't do those things.
Right.
I mean, and survive.
Right. You can't. I mean, anytime any representative in the state that is Republican that sides with the Democrats on really any issue, if they're the lone Republican, they ought to rethink their strategy.
Yeah.
But Paul Boyer's done that several times in this last.
Well, the election integrity as well.
Election integrity.
And we've had a couple. Michelle Ugenti.
Yeah.
Was another one, and what's the
Rhino
gentleman
Rusty.
from, there's another gentleman there from Coolidge. I can't think of his name offhand. He's turned coat
Shope.
one time.
DJ
Shope, yeah, and he's done that. But Anthony is quite the guy. It's pretty funny. I was reminiscing today. I remember when you first announced years and years and years ago. You and I were in a couple of meetings together, and when we're going.
Well, he's talking
6 years ago.
He's talking dog years.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
so
6 years ago.
He had more hair than you then.
And we're going, well, okay, now what? But Anthony's been one of the better legislators there, and we're really excited about this. Now, this election's still a long ways away, but what are you doing to prepare for this? I know getting the president to say, yeah, you're my man, this is a big deal, because I respect anything that Donald Trump says. Tell us what you're doing. You're getting a committee together and.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. We are getting a committee together. We're out getting signatures. We're out talking to contributors to our campaign. We're out getting, publicly speaking. We're out attending Trump events.
And we have a big event coming up.
We have a big event coming up on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday at 4 to 6 p.m. at the Daily Drip Coffee, 6027 West Bell Road. We have guest speakers. One of them going to be Jim Lehman, who I'm supporting for U.S. Senate. And, it's just doing things like that, talking to the voters. People are very, very concerned. And honestly, Ron, the number one issue for me is election integrity in this election. Everything else has to be set aside because we've got to get this election straight, and we got to get truth out to the people. And that's what I don't understand. I don't understand why everybody would not be involved, whether you're Republican or Democrat, rhino or conservative. Why wouldn't you want a 100% forensic audit to find out what really happened in this election? If Biden won, great. We move forward. If Trump won, we move forward. But we need to get to the bottom of it.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, I think that they've done a really remarkable job under the leadership of President Van. A few glitches, and of course we discussed before you got here a little bit about Ken Bennett, and Ken should have known better than to release information. It's really sad because I have a great deal of respect for him. He's been our Secretary of State. But tell me a little bit more about this thing on Saturday. Is it open to the public? It's a fundraiser, I'm assuming.
Yes. Yeah.
And tell us, if it's open to the public. I know I got an invitation.
Yeah, it's open to the public. Anybody can come. We might have to move it out into the parking lot because my fear is too many people are going to come. But that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. So, Josh is speaking. He's a great speaker. We've got Michael Infazan, who's running for a house in LD20. We've got some other speakers lined up. And frankly, I've told some of the candidates out there, if they attend, I'll give them time to speak. So it's a meet and greet. We're asking for, donations, $25 minimum. But, come, enjoy it, get yourself some coffee and support a small business and meet the candidates.
That's fantastic. And where is this? It's on Bell Road. And we're on Bell Road, actually, but you're on the other side of town.
Other side, yeah. On the good side over at 6027 West Bell Road. It's going to be a great event. Jim Lehman, who he'll be the first to speak. I know he's got a plane to catch that night, and he's a great guy. The more I get to know him, and I'll just say this: the reason I'm supporting Jim Lehman is I was at an event right after the election, and we had speakers down at the Capitol. I was one of them, and there were some House members and some Senate members that were speakers. And I turn around and I see this guy whom I've never seen before, and he's just saying, we need to check these election results. We need to, a very avid Trump supporter, and I thought, wow, this guy, is a big fighter. I asked somebody who he was, and they said Jim Lehman. Well, the next thing I know, he's running for U.S. Senate, and so to me, he was out on the front lines. He still is out on the front lines, fighting for our election integrity, and in my view, anybody that's out on the front lines I'm going to support.
I think he was the first one to actually become. I think that a lot of them announced, but he was out there working right off the get-go, which is a good thing, I think, because if the people don't know who you are, you got to listen to the people. Got to listen to who you represent.
Right, and and he's proven himself in the Republican Party. He's proven himself as a conservative. He's proven himself to support President Trump, and therefore I will give him my vote for U.S. Senate. Whereas the other candidate, we all know, he could have decertified the election, or not decertified. He could have not certified the election. And frankly, again, this last election is a line in the sand.
It truly is.
It really is.
Now, you've been involved in a lot of things. I mean, we were on the campaign trail this last cycle as well. I see you at all the events. Was this the closest that you had an opportunity to get to President Trump? Because you were right down there in front.
Yeah.
You were with everyone right down there. And in the past, we were always kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah, like on the third tier.
Yeah,
taking pictures.
You were right there.
First row, second balcony.
How was that? I mean, the guy's a big stature. I mean, that was a big venue as well.
Yeah, and I have to say, I don't know how that happened, but I want to thank Tyler Boyer and Charlie Kirk and Austin Smith, who's running for LD22 House. I don't know how that happened, because when I got down there, I was looking way in the back for my seat. I had heard I had applied or went on the website, got the VIP, so I'm looking in the back, and and Tyler Boyer comes up and says, "Oh no, you're right here," and I'm like, "Whoa,
surprise!"
Well, I was shocked. I mean, I'm nobody. I'm just a citizen that wants to make a difference.
You're a public servant,
right? Yeah. But I mean, I'm no different than anyone else out there that wants to fight this thing through and protect our country. And so, when things like that happen, I am really humbled and honored to be a part.
So you're sitting there in the front row. You see all the activity. I mean, Carrie Lake, who's been on here, what a response for her. That was pretty amazing. You get all the candidates that are up there. And Charlie Kirk comes up, introduces the President of the United States. You're there with everybody else. And the President looks over at you and points his finger, mentions your name. How did you feel about this? This was amazing.
I mean, honored, humbled. Words can't describe. I mean, it's kind of surreal. President Trump is a fighter, and everything he says, I agree with. He just is out there fighting for you and me. he doesn't need to do this. He can go,
Right.
and buy an island somewhere and live wherever he wants.
Very
But
comfortably.
Very
He's
comfortably.
lost more money doing and being president.
Right.
of the
He's a
United
president
States.
that's never taken a paycheck.
No.
That's correct.
And
He's
I'll
never
tell you,
been on the federal dole at all. Period.
never been on the federal dole. And, just to be that close to the president, if I can help him in any way, shape, or form, I will do what I need to do.
I mean, think about what's on his plate. He's thinking about all of these things, but yet he knows what's going on here in Arizona, and he knows what you've done for Arizona. That is
That's
amazing
awesome.
to me.
Yeah, right.
That
It
is
really
awesome.
is.
Right.
Do you think Joe Biden even knows anybody exists
No.
outside of his inner circle?
Well, one thing
I don't
about
think
President
so.
Trump is he seeks out allies, and when he finds them, he rewards them. I mean, let's face it. When he was in Washington, he was by himself for the most part. For most of his 4 years, he had certain people around
Yeah.
him, but it turns out that many of those people
Yeah.
ended up being backstabbers and the typical Washington elite politicians. And he found that out pretty succinctly right after the election,
Yeah.
and that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, he trusted a lot of people that he thought
He
had the integrity that he had. And I think from a personal level that he was very disappointed in a lot of the key people that
Yes.
surrounded him and the ones that gave him advice. And I don't think he's going to make that mistake the next time around.
No.
I don't think he's going to do that.
Gentlemen, here's one of the things that I find so amazing about this president is the simple fact that all my life, I come from a family that my grandparents were Democrats, and they always used to say, well, the Democrats are the party of the little people, and the Republicans are all for the wealthy people.
Yeah,
Well, Donald Trump, although he's wealthy, he has flipped that around.
yeah.
The big
Yeah.
corporations in that
Yeah, the
have now
working
become
class.
the stooges of the Democrat Party, and the average American now, I think, more and more are falling in love with this man because he loves us, he loves our country, and he wants us all to succeed and be prosperous.
Yeah, I
and
think
he's
so.
making the moves to do that.
And this whole America First agenda, which many have picked up on, and I mean, we are definitely an America First state. I think
Oh, yes.
Dr. Kelly Ward, who's the chairwoman of the AZ Republican Party, she said that we are the very first state that is an America First state. And when you see the amount of activity and how our president has changed all of that, the whole perception of, we have to do that. And the resident in chief right now, he mentioned, I really strongly encourage everybody to buy American. And everybody's like, oh gosh, this is brand new. This is a great
Did
idea.
he say it in Chinese?
Nobody could have.
He probably could have. Certainly Hunter could
No,
have.
and he said, and I want you to buy American, and I want you to buy my son's paintings.
Yeah.
That's buying American.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, I just did a story that I'm going to drop this tomorrow morning on Georges Bourget, who is the art dealer for Hunter Crackhead Biden. And it turns out that he is also tied to the CCP completely.
Wow.
And remember, you can't sell art in China without the oversight, okay? Any art dealer, any auctioneer, any painter, they have to have not necessarily permission, but they have to have a compliance based on not offending, of course, the CCP or the party. And so the art is highly, highly regulated. So that means there's no question that Hunter Biden is going to be selling art to people either associated with or members of the Communist Party in China. There's no question about it. And that's why they said that they're going to keep it, quote, confidential.
You know what? You got to give the guy credit. I mean, you really do. I don't agree with anything
He's got to
he
support
does,
his habit.
But you know what? What a great way to cover up what you're actually doing and raise a tremendous amount of money on the side without any oversight. I mean, that's just...
I haven't seen any
called
of his
corruption.
art.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I
It's
haven't
called
seen
corruption.
any of his art. I don't
big
want to see any of his art.
Well,
But-
I've seen a couple of paintings.
They're
It
stick
looks like
figures.
something that the children do in kindergarten, where you pour watercolors on a paper, and then you take a straw and you blow into it and smear the. Seriously, I'm not
It's called the
kidding.
Crack
That's what
Pipe
it-
series.
It was probably a crack pipe that it was.
Okay,
instead
so
of a
back
straw.
on topic. I was listening to the radio coming in, And Representative Joe Chaplick, you know him well,
Yes.
a great guy, came out with a bill, one of several bills for election integrity, as well as mask mandates. Now, we now have a law here in the state of Arizona, and signed by our governor, that says that they cannot mandate wearing of masks. Yet, we have our superintendent of public instruction, Ms. Hoffman, who is saying, no, we need to circumvent that, and you're the governor, and go ahead and, make a way so that our kids can be masked right before they go back to school. From a representative standpoint, which you served, what's going to happen? Can you, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but where do you see this going?
Well, if my understanding, Governor Ducey tweeted out today or put on media today that there's a law and it will be followed, that they are not going to enforce the mask mandates. So, I don't know what office he's running for, but I want to say thank you to Governor Ducey for, putting his foot down and say, we're going to follow the law.
Yeah.
Bottom line is, that's the problem in America right now, is a lot of laws are not being followed. People are doing what they want to do. There's two sets of laws. There's one for them and one for us.
Correct.
And so, bottom line is people need to follow the law, and if they don't follow the law, they need to pay the price.
Yeah. No, I agree.
When subpoenas are issued, if you don't obey the subpoenas, you need to be put in jail.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, Josh, you brought up that you wish that the governor would have gone, and the legislature would have gone one step further in not mandating the shot. So,
I think there needs to be an executive order that oversteps the federal government, which now the federal government is saying, because of the Food and Drug Administration's emergency executive order, whatever it is that they're under right now, that they can somehow force people into being vaccinated. Well, I got news for you. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Number one, you have the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, which would get involved in that. And of course, you have the Americans with Disabilities Act. There's two things right there that says that you can't mandate vaccines. So I don't understand what this whole...
And the 10th Amendment.
Yeah, of course. So I don't understand what the federal government is doing. And as I said on my show, nobody wants to see anyone get hurt. No one wants to see anyone get injured. No one wants to see anyone get shot or anything crazy like that. But the government sending people door to door is probably not going to end well at some point, because they're going to knock on the wrong door and they're going to have a confrontation. Hopefully it won't be armed, but you never know what can happen. And it's sad to think that this government is so out of control that they're actually pushing in that direction to where something may actually have to happen before they take a step back. And that's terrible.
You know what's
That's
so
terrible.
unusual about this is our good friend Liz Harris
Right.
had a full team of people going door to door and asking innocuous questions like, did you vote in the last election?
Right.
And if you did you vote by mail or did you go to the polling place?
Right.
But see, that's intimidation.
That was called intimidation by the now Garland AG, United States Attorney General.
Yeah.
And so there was a cease and desist. There wasn't an order, but they pretty much said, you better cease and desist or we're going to
here's what
enforce it. So now we're going to have people going door to door to ask if you've got if you've had a vaccine, which is totally against
and that's
HIPAA
not
laws.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's not intimidation.
Put up a
I
no
consider
trespassing
that
sign,
intimidation.
and
Yeah.
if they trespass on your property, have them arrested.
Yeah. So here's what I don't understand. So they just removed the emergency authorization for the testing of COVID-19, because the test wasn't originally for COVID-19. We know
Right.
that. But
Right.
it was done on an emergency basis, but they took it away because it was just an emergency authorization. So every single one of the shots is an emergency authorization. So can they later say, oh, you know what, that's not working out, we're going to withdraw the emergency authorization? It's not even tested. It's not out there. How can they force you to be basically a guinea pig? Because that's what it comes down to.
Right.
And I kind of have to agree with what Josh is saying, that we should have had something that said, no, we're not going to have vaccine passports. We're not going to have mandatory vaccines. We're not going to, we do live in a free country. And I remember people saying, my body, my choice.
Yeah.
But that's
here's
kind
the
of
issue
out the
on
window.
that, though. Yeah, legislation, you could probably get that through, but what's going to happen is the same thing with this woke culture that we live in. Pressure is going to be put on organizations, corporations, businesses that say that they're going to be requested to mandate their employees be vaccinated. Airlines, modes of travel.
So it's a backdoor.
It's a backdoor, absolutely. And so, one way or another, they're going to force it upon the people of America. And my opinion is, we've got to stand up and we've got to draw a line in the sand. Otherwise, if they know they can steal an election by changing the rules through COVID, if they know that they can enforce these mandates on the American people and we just sit willy-nilly and let them do it, they're going to continue until the people rise up.
So here's the question that I would have. So we already have a law that says you can't mandate it. Can the state as a sovereign unit, which, people don't understand, the federal government is by permission by the states. The states got together and said, okay, we will create you for a specific purpose. We still have our sovereignty.
Kind of an easier way to put that is there's 50 little countries in the United States of America.
Yeah. And they just say play fair.
Right. Every state is a basic country.
Right.
On their own. And so, if the federal government mandates anything, we just say no way. A lot of it's done through money.
Right.
So that's how this federal gets in.
So could the governor say any corporation that does business in our state must follow state guidelines which say you cannot mask mandate?
You could run a piece of legislation that would say it's the employee choice.
Yeah, but don't we have that already?
Not on the vaccines, I don't think. But
because
we do.
On the masks. Because if the state says there's no mask mandate, cannot they say to the corporation who does business within the state, you must follow our guidelines where there is no mask mandate? Which is
I could see that happening. My belief is everything that we do at the state legislature is constitutional till it's challenged. So I would love to run a bill like that when I'm elected state senator. I have to say that in Arizona, the legislature has done a pretty good job about individual rights, and so businesses that are out there that are being threatened by this woke culture, we got your back. Yeah. And we'll do business with you. I think the way a lot of these businesses get around that is they put up these signs that say, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. So that's kind of a, how do they know whether or not I'm vaccinated? I'm going to go into there, and if they ever ask me, I'm going to say it's none of your business. But I think that's a way a business can kind of, let their hair down and breathe a sigh of relief, because a lot of them just want to make a living. They don't want to be involved in this political,
exactly. This
and
social football that's
social
going back
construction.
And forth.
Right. So I don't support businesses that are into this woke culture.
So what about Banner? Banner's made an announcement that they must be vaccinated by November, whatever the date is. And I know that there's protests going on right now. Yep. And there's a lot of people that said, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going to do this.
Right.
And so now it's putting us more at risk because we don't have that first line of defense in case something does happen. So
it's all about money. Okay, so if they force the mandate on their employees and the employees leave or protest and make them look bad, they're going to lose shareholders. They're going to lose business. People are not going to go in there and do their hospital work. So I mean, it's all about money. Coca-Cola or Delta Airlines or any of these, if you quit, or Starbucks, you quit going to these places, one by one, they're going to feel that pinch. Look at the Olympics, the way the ratings went down. Look at these news outlets, the way their ratings went down. It's all about money. That's our power.
Yeah, and it's not calling for boycotts, because a lot of people say let's boycott this. No, it's how do you want your money spent? There's some places that I don't go because I don't believe in what they do with the money that I give them, the profit that they have.
Right.
I just don't go there. I don't yell it. I don't scream it from the rooftops. I don't have to share it with everybody. It's just me personally. I choose not to go to certain places because I don't believe in what they do. And I think that if everybody kind of took that attitude, and you don't have to gather together, you use your pocketbook. I mean,
Right.
As bad
that's
as the
what-
masks are, they're not permanent. You can take a mask
Right.
off.
No, I
if you
agree.
get a vaccine, it's permanent. And if there are all of these health issues, anomalies, medical issues, adverse
deaths,
conditions,
deaths,
deaths,
yeah.
you name it. Remember, VAERS, the Vaccine Injury Reporting Court, is voluntary, folks. That means that emergency rooms and hospitals and doctors and clinicians and practitioners and nurses, if someone dies or has an adverse condition, they're not required by law to report that to VAERS. So what does that mean? It basically means that about 1% of all of the adverse conditions and deaths in the United States of America actually get reported to VAERS. So in reality, it could be 100 times higher. We don't know. So why take the risk? You know, and again, I was against President Trump on Operation Warp Speed. One of the only things I was really against him on, because normally when you have a vaccine, it takes 5, 6, 7 years to come to market. There's testing. They're not cutting corners. There's distribution. There's manufacturing.
studies.
There's more and more and more testing. There's more and more trials. This was done in 5 to 6 to 7 months, which means that they had to have cut corners. And that's the problem here.
Well,
Josh
we're
Bernstein,
almost-
Uncensored.com.
That's right. And then, of course, there's BackstreetGossip.com. Listen, we're running out of time here. Anthony, once again, Saturday. Is
Saturday,
your
July
event.
31st, I'll do it for you. 4
Okay.
to 6. Daily Drip Coffee Shop, 6027 West Bell Road, Suite B, Glendale, Arizona, 85308. Folks, please, if you're in the area, support a real, true constitutional
Now
conservative.
tomorrow night, same time, same station, we have the Jay Lawrence Show, and he's going to have Tom Horn, who is running for I think it's which one is it? No, he's running for the
SPI,
Superintendent of Public
yes.
Instruction, and he has held that office. He
Yeah, I
has
was
been
gonna
the
say,
Attorney
yes.
General. Now he's running for Superintendent again. So stay tuned. It's going to be a good show tomorrow.
Hey, Anthony,
night.
what's your website?
VoteKern.com.
VoteKern.com. That's VoteKern.com.
VOTEKERN.com.
Easy
Thanks
to
for
remember.
coming on.
Thank you for
Anthony,
having
We'll
me.
see
that's
you
great.
tomorrow night. Or we won't, but Jay will be here, and then we'll see you Monday night. We're going to have a really big show. We've got an author from New York, and he's going to talk about the buildings falling down on people on 9/11, and she was in charge of the temporary morgue. It could be a little morbid, but stay tuned. We'll see you tomorrow night.